What are you doing here?
What? I work here.
I thought you quit.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst things George Costanza ever did.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Embracing my roots.
They nailed you on the 20 G's?
What's the goal?
Of course, you will have your own private, fully equipped bathroom.
When do I start?
For this list, we'll be looking at the most stupid, selfish, and thoughtless actions from the iconic Seinfeld character. Do you have any George Costanza-like moments from your own life? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Stealing family photo. When George got hired at Kruger Industrial Smoothing, he noticed something disturbing in his boss's office. A family photo with George in the background, taken after an intense confrontation.
When I come out, my clothes, my towel, my umbrella, they're all gone. I am furious. I start screaming at these kids, demanding my stuff back, and finally I lose it. I grab their boombox and I chuck it into the ocean.
Realizing the photo could cost him his job, George steals it and tries to get himself airbrushed out. However, a series of hilarious misunderstandings lead to the photo becoming completely unusable.
He looks like a Peanuts character.
I know. The only way to fix it now is to get a whole new photo of Kruger.
Well, you can do that.
Without his shirt on?
You can't do that.
By the end of the episode, George angrily reveals his deception to Mr. Kruger, and he doesn't lose his job. However, he does get a reminder of how much hair he's lost over the years.
Well, that pear-shaped loser was me! And I was in that photo until I broke in here, stole the photograph, and airbrushed myself out of it.
Well, I'll be... You have lost a lot of hair.
That's what they tell me!
Number 9. Cheating on IQ test. George isn't exactly confident in his intelligence.
You'll do well. You're smart.
No, see, he's not smart. People think he's smart, but he's not.
What'd you get on your SATs?
It varies.
When his girlfriend Monica has him take an IQ test, he schemes with Elaine to sneak it out the window so she can take it. But trying to take it in the failing Dream Cafe with distractions like Kramer means Elaine isn't of much help. Before too long, the ruse is discovered, and George is once again left single.
Is that the test?
Oh, this. Yeah.
Here you go. Thanks. I hope you do a lot better this time.
If he spent more time studying and less time coming up with ridiculous plans, who knows how smart he could be? To be fair, he did get a boost in his brain power in one episode when he was forced to give up sex.
Just lately, I've been thinking a lot clearer. Like this afternoon with this chick in Kiev. I really enjoyed watching a documentary with Louise.
Louise, that's what's doing it. You're no longer preoccupied with sex, so your mind is able to focus.
Number 8. Slipping his boss a Mickey. There's petty, and then there's George Costanza. When George is reprimanded by his boss at a realty company for using his private bathroom, he angrily quits.
That's it. This is it. I'm done. Through. It's over. I'm gone. Finished. Over. I will never work for you again.
Realizing this was a mistake, he goes back to the office to pretend like nothing happened. But he ends up getting fired for good.
I want you out of here.
I don't know where you're getting this from. You're serious, aren't you?
To get back at his boss, George plots to slip him a Mickey at a company party. And once again, he enlists Elaine's help in this dastardly deed. If nothing else, George certainly knows the value of friends in low places.
We've always enjoyed his antics around the office. Anything you want to add to this?
Drink up!
In the end, George is still out of a job, and we're left laughing over his short-sightedness. Number 7. Trying to cheat on Susan. As you'll see further on in this list, George was the opposite of a good partner to his fiancée, Susan. As his wedding date looms closer, George becomes more hesitant about the commitment.
What if I got a cup of coffee with her?
Well, what about Susan?
I can't have a cup of coffee with a person. I'm not allowed to have coffee.
Would you tell Susan about it?
Not necessarily.
Not only does he attempt to cheat on her, but he tries with Marissa Tomei. Upon learning that the Oscar winner is attracted to his kind, George schemes to get in touch with her. While Tomei does fall for him, she's outraged when she learns of his scheme.
The thing is, I'm sort of engaged.
What?
And Susan ends up thinking he and Elaine are seeing each other.
So, George, what does Art Van Delay import?
Matches? Really long matches.
George receives some well-deserved hits for his dishonesty in this episode. Number 6. Pretending to be an Aryan Union leader. George has done plenty of bad things, but we could never buy him as a Nazi. However, in one episode, a not-so-innocent lie forced him to pretend to be one.
Brian?
Yes, sir.
Sorry we're late.
Here, let me take that for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll get the car and I'll bring it around front.
Thank you very much. Dylan?
Come.
When he and Jerry cons their way into a limo back from the airport in this Season 3 episode, they soon learn it was meant for a white supremacist leader on his way to an event surrounded by protesters.
I'm standing in front of the Paramount adjacent to Madison Square Garden, where a growing number of vociferous and angry demonstrators are gathering to protest the very first public appearance of Donald O'Brien, the leader of the Midwestern Regional Chapter of the Aryan Union.
Realizing there's no easy way out, George keeps up the facade until he's left panicking to get out of it. Sometimes you can get away with dishonesty. Other times, it blows up in your face like it does for George. Number 5. Fraudulent charity. George seems to be allergic to generosity, so much so that during the holidays, he gives his co-workers donation cards for a charity that doesn't exist.
Now, Mr. Kruger, sir, Merry Christmas.
Not if you could see our books. What is this?
The Human Fund.
Whatever.
Exactly.
The so-called Human Fund is soon exposed as a fake after his boss, Mr. Kruger, attempts to donate $20,000. And George, realizing he's been cornered, does the last thing he wants to do: invites his boss to his family's Festivus celebration.
You making all this up, too?
Oh, no, sir. Festivus is all too real, and I could prove it if I have to.
Yeah, you probably should.
Pretty soon, George's stinginess and dishonesty has him in an even more uncomfortable situation, about to face his father in the annual Feats of Strength.
Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over.
Oh, please, someone stop this.
Let's rumble!
Number 4. Pulling out IV. All's fair in love and war, but even George knows there are limits. When an attractive woman briefly mistakes George for her boyfriend Neil, he obsesses over him and does all he can to take his place.
Yeah, he's pretty upset that I broke up with him to go out with you.
I guess I showed Neil who's Neil.
Get together tomorrow night and have coffee.
Coffee? I can beat that. Move in with me.
An untimely incident with Krebs lands Neil in the hospital with a burnt face, and George figures he's finally won.
Is this him?
Yeah, that blueberry crepe burned him pretty badly.
Whose cane is this?
It's Neil's.
However, she stays with her current flame, and George is left tasting defeat.
George.
I win.
But never one to lose graciously, he pulls out his rival's IV. Jason Alexander improvised this unbelievably cruel moment, showing just how well he understands the depraved lengths his character will go to. Number 3. Pretending to have a disability. The further on the series went, the more shameless George became. In the premiere of the final season, George is hired by a new company, Play Now, in part because they believe he has mobility issues due to his cane usage.
Now, I don't want you to think that anyone's going to treat you any differently just because of your handicap.
Handicapped? Oh, I'm not handicapped.
I'm sorry. Differently advantaged.
He keeps up this charade to the point of getting his own motorized scooter to travel around in.
Play Now thinks I got problems in both legs. My own personal rascal, Jerry, on the house.
As always, George's hubris gets the best of him, and he's exposed as a fraud. Though he doesn't lose his job in this episode, some more harebrained thinking in the next installment leaves him once again out of work.
George? Your legs! Are you a religious man, sir?
No.
Number 2. Knocking people down during a fire. George doesn't know the meaning of sacrifice, as shown by his reaction to a kitchen fire at his girlfriend's son's birthday party.
Burgers should be ready in a minute.
Oh, great. What's that smell?
As soon as he sees smoke, he's already bolting for the door at the expense of the other attendees. This means he's knocking down everyone he can, from the kids to an older woman with a walker to a clown he had an argument with played by Jon Favreau. When the fire department arrives, George has the gall to pretend he was acting out of courage, not cowardice. But he does get called out in one of the most defining exchanges in sitcom history.
I risked my life making sure that exit was clear. Any other questions?
How do you live with yourself?
It's not easy.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Accidentally causing Susan's death. While George didn't intentionally cause his fiance's death, he did contribute to her untimely demise. When it's time to send out wedding invitations, the perpetually penny-pinching George opts for cheap envelopes.
They're arranged in order of price. The most expensive are in the front.
However, these contain a toxic adhesive, which Susan is exposed to when licking them. She collapses, and George and the other 3 learn of her demise.
I'm so sorry, George.
Yeah, me too.
Poor Lily.
Based on his indifferent reaction, it's clear that George is feeling more relief than grief or remorse. Shortly after, he's trying once again to score a date with Marissa Tomei, and once again, he's left looking like a total jerk.
Anyway, I've got the funeral tomorrow, but my weekend is pretty wide open, and I was wondering. Hello? Hello?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.